It's no secret that cash is slowly fading out as digital versions of payments continue to come in across the country. What about cashless car parks, though? It's becoming the norm and will increasingly become so in Nuneaton and Bedworth. The council's about to bring in a new electronic payment system, so you won't be able to pay for parking in Nuneaton and Bedworth with coins. Some things I know people like to keep the same, don't they? But change is very important, particularly if you're a little bit older. Things can become a bit more resistant to change, and some people just like to pay with cash, don't they? Particularly for things like the car parking. Ron Delnevo is the chair of the Payment Choice Alliance and would be in favour of keeping cash. So, Ron, I'm going to guess that Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council aren't particularly your favourites at the moment.
No, they get a red card, Phil. You should be handing them a big red card.
Okay, hang on.
Red card.
There we go. All right, Ron. Thank you. Good. Right, yeah. Why?
Why? Because, for example, just last week, the AA did a survey and nearly 50% of people still prefer paying for their car parking using cash. And although you were saying cash is fading away, Phil, actually, that's not correct. The use of cash in this country has gone up every year for the last 3 years after the pandemic. So cash is still strong. Only 3% of people, when we surveyed them through YouGov, say they never use cash. So the British public want cash, but now they're being dictated to and being told, oh, you have to use apps or you have to use cards. Why should the British public be dictated to? It's wrong.
Is there a sector or an element of people, a grouping, if you like, that suffer the most as cash is taken away from them as an option?
Well, I mean, usually people say, older people, and it's no doubt there are 13 million people over 65 in this country, and all of them don't want to use apps and such things for their payments. But equally, 16 million people in this country budget using cash. That's young, middle-aged and older, and they don't want to be forced to use other payment methods because that's the way they keep control of their expenditure. That's more than one person in every two houses in this country budget using cash. You then have people who suffer from disabilities. There are 16 million people with disabilities in this country, and some of those disabilities rule them out from using cash. So there are a whole host of people, and that's why when you do a survey, you find out that very few people want to see cash disappear. In fact, when we asked the public, once again through YouGov, 71%, that equates to over 40 million people, said they wanted a law put in place saying that they had to be allowed to use their cash, which, by the way, is that law is in force in countries around Europe near us, France, Spain, Denmark, Norway. They already have such laws protecting the public interest. But so far, the public in Britain don't seem to matter.
Interesting. And obviously, since the rise of the cost of living crisis, certainly people felt they could budget better by, say, taking 40 quid out and saying, right, that's it. Once I've used all that cash up, I'm not using any more, and that helped people budget during the peak of the cost of living crisis.
Well, that's right. So I mean, you hand up, hold out or award red cards, but it's the Trump card we need to worry about now, because that's going to put people's cost of living up further, and they'll need cash more and more. It's already 16 million. How many is that going to grow to? Because people actually just can't make ends meet, So if people go to our website, the Payment Choice Alliance website, they'll see we're doing a lot to try to correct this, and we are determined that the government will bring in a law, as other governments have done, to protect the public interest and force businesses and car parks to accept cash.
We know councils are cash strapped at the moment, Ron. Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council say this will help them save money bringing this in. So actually, on behalf of councils, don't we need to give them a little breathing space on this and say, yeah, all right, well, look, if this is gonna help you with your own council budgeting and allow you to, prioritise things like potholes and stuff like that, which we want them to do. Isn't that them just actually doing the right thing?
Well, there's a couple of things there. If cash disappeared, those digital and card payment methods would become more and more expensive, and the council will pass that cost on to the users of car parks, because if they had a monopoly, Visa and MasterCard and Apple Pay will charge what they like. And the other thing is, I haven't seen the figure specifically from Warwickshire Council about how much money they would save, but Oxford Council produced a glossy report of about 200 or 300 pages talking about everything they're doing. And in that, they said, by changing all of our car parks in Oxford to card or digital only, we'll save about £10,000 or £12,000 a year. Well, with all due respect to a council with a budget of hundreds of millions, 10 or 12,000, can they even work that out? I'd love to see the proof in their figures that they're actually saving money, because to be quite honest, I don't believe they are.
Ron, appreciate your time this morning. Ron Delnevo,
Thanks,
Chair
Phil.
of the Payment Choice Alliance, bless you, Ron, on the prospect of Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Councils bringing in cashless car parking in the future.